Welcome back to Recommendation Day Part 5. Cinco. Hey, we made it. Guys, you've given me so many crazy things to watch, and it's been so fun seeing what goes on in that little brain of yours. So, let's begin, because there's a bunch of them that I actually got a chance to watch this time, so I'm stoked. Alright, we're starting with Porcopotamus from YouTube told me to watch Dr. Sleep. A lot of you guys are telling me to watch Dr. Sleep finally, since I do love the movie The Shining. And I finally gave it a go. And I'll tell you this, first off, it's a very long film. That thing is like 3 hours. Like, thank God I didn't see it in theaters. I would have been getting up to pee like every 5 minutes. I'm the worst like that. Anyways. But 3 hours and it was worth it. So this is one of those movies, you know, sometimes you watch something and like, you get halfway through and you're like, okay, like, meh, I don't want to finish it. This is a movie where, like, I had to stop throughout the day, but I was like, okay, I need to finish this. Like, I need to know what happens. I really liked how they took the story from The Shining. They continue with Danny. So if you guys don't remember The Shining, Danny was a little kid who's all like, rad, rad. Anyways, he shines hard. He shines on. So it basically takes his story and shows him later on in life. And he ends up getting contacted by this little girl who shines even harder than him. And then there's this weird gypsy group of demon soul stealers, okay? And like that leader, the girl, she's such a babe with a little top hat. Anyways, it's an interesting concept. So it's all about these demon gypsy dudes that are like trying to find people that have the shine because it gives them, I guess, more energy. So people who could see spirits and communicate with the underworld or whatever. And that's an interesting concept, I thought. But the whole thing is, like, this girl starts seeing, like, oh man, like, they're murdering kids, like, they're doing this, and then Danny gets involved, and she's involved, and whatever. It all ends back at the Shining Outlook Hotel, which is kind of neat. I really like that they brought it all back there, because I've read the book, you know, like, the whole thing about The Shining is, like, that place itself is such a hub for so much energy that happened over the years, right? So I found that really neat how they did bring it back to that. But what I hated about this movie, I'm sorry anybody who loved this, I hated the way they stole the souls. Like, so overall, it's a great film, but they have this stupid animation that goes on, like, fake effects, where, like, you have, like, the person there, and they're like, oh, I'm sucking their soul, and they got this neat little martini-looking shaker thing where they hide them. They're literally hiding souls in martini Anyways, I'm not gonna hate on it, because I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the film overall, but just this concept of, like, it's like, maybe use smoke. They could have used smoke if they really wanted to. Or just take the concept of, you know, stealing people's souls, but add a bit more of, like, an exorcism twist, you know? Like, I want to watch these people contort and do crazy stuff. Like, a bit like the new Stranger Things. No spoilers. But, like, they're demons. I don't know. I was expecting something a bit different than that, like, beautiful souls coming out and them, like, sipping it. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for making me watch it, because I think it was necessary. I had to see it at some point, right? Would I read it? I think they did turn it into a novel. I don't think I'd read it. I don't think I would. But regardless, great film. Thank you, Porcopotamus. Okay, next. What do I got? Bloody Birthday from my dude, Bloody Effin' Gore. So, on Instagram, he's Bloody Effin' Collector. This dude is hilarious. And he's like, Vicky, you really need to watch Bloody Birthday. I seen it a while back, and I had to rewatch it. And, like, F those kids, man. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. This is a classic. I want to say it's from the 80s. Guys, I didn't look up the years this time. Don't yell at me. It's got to be an 80s movie. But yeah, so it's about all these kids. And there's this, like, normal family, like, you know, brother and sister. And they're, like, in this town, and, like, all the kids' friends are, like, little shitheads. Like, awful people. Like, shooting people. Throwing arrows through people's eyeballs. Like, awful kids, locking them in fridges. I think that's like the most terrifying moment. Who wants to be a kid who's locked in a fridge in a junkyard? I can't even speak. That's how frustrated I am with these damn kids. Anyways, who raised them? Obviously not enough. Not enough, what do you call them? Yeah. Anyways, these kids are such dicks, and it's so funny because you get to like midway through the movie and like they start explaining it in the sense that like, well, they were born on like the eclipse, like something's wrong, like they were born on this date, like do you know what that means? Like the sisters get it all like astrological on her. And I laugh because like my cousin loves astrology and I love that. And like astrology people in general get really into it. And it's just like, oh man, here we go. It's because of the moon. Someone's in retrograde and these kids are crazy. Anyways, this is basically what they blame it on. These kids are born on like a crazy eclipse. And that being said, means they're missing some emotional something. So that empathy, right? Which is absolutely true, because they're just fucking everybody up in the neighborhood, and everyone's like, it can't be them. Like, there's no way. Oh, anyways, hilarious, but also fantastic movie, and still spooky. Like, there's these scenes where you're just like, I hope I never have to babysit a child like that, and all that jazz. So, thank you, Bloody Effing Gore, for saying it, for making me watch Bloody birthday? My bloody birthday? My god, I can't even say it. Too many bloodies. God damn it. Okay, on to the next. What do we got? Lamora's Tale. So, Anticapital. I finally watched this. Anticapital's from YouTube, by the way. I finally watched this again. Because I watched it while I was painting down here. And, like, you get in the zone sometimes. And, like, you kind of, things go over your head or whatever. So I rewatched it. And I'm just like, what is this movie? It's bonkers. It's all over the place. And it's like this girl whose dad is like a mafia dude who's like keeps killing people, but they're like, no, she's a beautiful angel now. We have taken her into our Christian wings and she's fantastic. And, and then she gets this letter from like a witch. You don't know that yet. And she's like, it's like, oh, like if you come and see me, I'll help you see your dad. And of course the little girl's like, hell yeah, I want to see my dad. So ends up getting out of this little town and on her way kind of thing. And it's just, to me, it was almost like Alice in Wonderland-ish. Like, very fantastical, but in like a horror movie way. And like, I could just imagine this poor girl going through this trek, like, what's going on? Even just like the taxi driver she encounters, like, he's like weirder than the dude from Are You Afraid of the Dark? Do you remember him? Dr. Vink with a V? Or... was it the other one who would tell riddles? Anyways, throwback. No, but seriously, like, she encounters all these weird dudes. She finally gets to this witch, and it's just this very strange connection she starts building with her. Like, even there's this really cringy moment where she's just like, can I massage you? You have such an exciting body. And it's like, god damn, like, who are you, lady? And, like, obviously, she's, like, vampire S-type lady who's, like, stealing people's souls, especially kids. Anyways. Crazy movie. It's worth a watch. It's definitely worth a watch. The makeups were really fun in it, too. A lot of zombies out of nowhere. It's kind of like, I feel like there's this fortress, and they're just protected by all these demon dudes, and she's just like, I just need to get out and see my dad. Anyways. Wild movie. Thank you for making me watch it. Next. Lake Mungo. So Mighty Morphin Misery told me to watch Lake Mungo. And you know what? I've heard so much about this film. So much. And I was sitting on the edge of my seat like, okay, is this going to be crazy? Everyone's telling me this is terrifying. I won't lie, I was disappointed. So I don't know what I was expecting. I didn't read up about it. So I put it on, and it's like a fake documentary. So obviously the first thing I do is like, oh my god, is Lake Mungo real? Like, is this movie like true facts, whatever, fact or fiction beyond belief? But it's not. That's okay. Sometimes, like, I have to say Howard's Mill, fantastic. I think they did a really good job on that. There was also a Skinwalker one. I want to say it's real. It might be fake, but I want to say it's real. And they did a good job on that one too. But this, so they have this story where their daughter goes missing randomly in a lake. and then they eventually find the body, and it's all about how they're grieving about it in a sense, and it's all handheld, it's all documentary, but then again, it's into paranormal stuff. I hear Lake Mungo, and I'm like, ooh, there's gonna be scary things going on, and monsters, and it's like going on the supernatural thing. So I'm like, that's cool. Okay, show me some ghosts. And they kind of keep throwing you in different ways, kind of thing. I'm not gonna spoil it, because I don't want to, but at the same time, the movie was just like, it was almost sad. It was like one of these like, aww, movies, in a sense. And to me, it wasn't scary at all. This was not scary. If you want to watch, and I've already covered it on one of my Movie Mondays, if you want to watch a scary, handheld kind of thing, like, Poughkeepsie Tapes was damn good. I enjoyed that. That's like, I don't know. But I guess it's different style, you know? Anyways, thank you for making me watch it, though, because it was in the back of my mind. People kept talking about it, so I'm glad I dipped in. It's just not my thing, you know? All right, next. All right, so I'm going to blame Phil Moore, who is from Facebook and from YouTube, for pushing me to watch Henry 1 and Henry 2, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Even though there was a bunch of you that are just like, watch the Henrys. But Phil Moore had said it way back when. I had it written in my notes. And, wow. Okay, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, the first one. Fantastic film. Fantastic film. I love how in this movie, they take you and they, like, make you almost feel empathy for him. And, like, you have the guy's sister come and live with him. You can tell he's grimy. You can tell he's, like, a dirty dude. I forget his name. He has some silly name. And Henry is just very observant with her because she gives Henry the time of day to spill his beans about who he's killed. She acts very nonchalant, like, okay, that's fine, you know, like, express to me. Or so you have this, like, bond kind of going. And it's kind of wild how the brother is just so slimy. Like, she's gone through abuse, and it's almost like the brother's trying to recreate it, but, like, Henry's there to be like, screw you. So it's kind of cute in that sense. But, messed up, man. Because, again, you feel this empathy for him, but there he is going out at night, like, doing messed up shit. And it's wild how the filmmaking goes from, like, you're a part of it, you're, like, in the room with them, they live in this tiny apartment, you kind of feel, like, literally a part of it. And then it switches, and you're watching, like, the footage that they're taking. And you know, like, old school video cameras back then, like, it felt grimy. And, like, you're watching them, like, feel them up, rape them, like, cut them up. You're just like, ugh. Yeah, it kind of bounces a bit back, you know? Back and forth from that, which was pretty awesome. And the ending, I really enjoyed it. I was like, I felt it coming, if you know what I mean. Like, at the same time, so, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. But it's a great film. I would compare it, like, because I did Angst, right, the other day, and Angst is a crazy, in the mind of a serial killer kind of movie, where this was, like, you're watching him, and you're trying to understand the way he functions in normal society, you know, which is, I find interesting. Kind of like John Wayne Gacy, right, he was, like, even, like, mayor, I think, at one point, like, just people who are normal. He was doing birthdays, you know, people who just try to take a good job and do their thing, but then at night it's like, oh, P.S. I'm just gonna stop and strangle this person. Okay, bye. Like, it's crazy. Anyways, super well done film. Henry 2. I was like, what? Henry 2 the Arsonist is what they should have called it. Like, it was different. I appreciated it, even though it wasn't like the same actor dude. I appreciated it, but I didn't love it. It was just really, like, along the lines, he takes this, I think they kind of make it seem like, I can't explain it. I can't explain it in words, but to me, Henry 2 was, like, they wanted it to continue from the first one, in my mind, I think, and, like, they're back at, like, the girl's house or something, or not, or it's a whole new adventure. I don't know, my brain was, like, double-taked on that. Like, I'm like, is that the same girl? Or is this a new adventure that he's taken and, like, working at a new site and, you know, getting to know new people, and then just showing them it's okay to kill, or, like, you know? Anyways. Henry 1. Stick to Henry 1, it's worth it. Henry 2 was just like, okay. Alright, next. Beast Mage, you were saying Green Room. Okay, so I did watch Green Room, and Green Room was an interesting film. I respect it for a newer horror that came out, but, like, it was never a movie Monday for me, because I watched it, I was kind of like, what's happening? Like, it's bananas. It's one of these movies that is very, like you said, very punk rock. It makes you feel for these kids that are just struggling, they don't have money, they're just trying to do their tour, and then they're, like, get sidewinded to, like, some other gig where they don't know where they're gonna be, and it ends up being, like, all these, like, Nazi punks, I want to say-ish. Like a Nazi punk cult. I don't know what you call it. Anyways. I love it that they kind of, like, slide that song in there, like, nuts bugs, fuck you. It's like, ugh. Like, I don't know, you're in a new place. I wouldn't kind of fuck around with that stuff. Anyways. They go to the back room, and shit goes down. The whole point of this movie is, like, wrong place, wrong time. And it's crazy that Patrick Stewart said yes to this movie. I'm totally okay with it. I think he was the perfect actor for it, but it blows my mind. Like, to me, that's really cool. Really cool that he took that role. And he's kind of like the leader dude. Like, you don't mess around. He's like the godfather of all these, like, skinhead dudes. And you just see this, like, crazy dynamic of how they're trying to, like, cover up a murder that they weren't even involved in. It's this whole, like, manic situation. And, like, to me, it wasn't horror. It was very much like a thriller. Almost, you know, I don't want to say like a cult movie, but yeah, it was definitely a thriller. And it was just like slice of life. That was a little slice of life film. And I respected it. It was shot very well, good music. But would it be on like a top list? Would it be a movie I'd purchase? Probably not. I watched it twice already, so definitely worth more than one watch, I'd say. Yeah. And it just makes you want to go to a show after. I won't lie. I was like, oh, when's my next rock show? Alright, on to the next. What do we got? Whoa. Okay, I enjoyed this one. So, a dude on Imgur, whatever the hell you guys call it, called Home Depot aisle 15. I'm shouting you out, bro. He told me to watch Schramm. Okay? Have you guys heard of Schramm? SCHRAMM. Wild movie. Wild movie, okay? This is very artsy. It's not even an hour-long film. There's so much... You're like, what is going on? The dude explained it pretty well online. It's very fetish-ish. Like, you have a lot of blow-up doll things going on. And then you got his, like, wild, like, literally hammering nails into his wiener. Like, excessively. And you're just like, what's happening? But then, like, these beautiful shots of, like, it's all about what goes on in the serial killer's mind before he dies. Okay? And the way he dies is kind of, like, poetic, in a sense. I don't know. And I love, he has this bond with, like, his neighbor, and his neighbor is kind of like, I don't want to say a whore, but yeah, like, she gets paid to do stuff. She's like an escort of some sort. But yeah, he ends up being kind of close to her. And, like, you can see she sees him as, like, a confidant. So, like, he ends up driving her, like, sometimes to, like, these little gigs and shows, and you can tell he has this, like, little thing for her. But then there's this crazy scene where he's like, P.S. I'm gonna drug you. And, like, again, it had that Henry vibe where you're like, you're somebody who, like, builds the confidence in somebody and, like, shares that, you know, softness with them, but then just takes them and, like, still, like, bye-bye, you're trash to me. And it's like, I don't know, like, there's a lot of scenes in there that are pretty gross, but I thought it was fantastic. There's, like, a whole scene where he's like, I'm at the dentist, and then the dentist is like, hold on, you need one more thing done. He's like, starts popping out his eyeball. And I was like, yos! Anyways, not for the faint of heart. This movie was disgusting. A lot of weird stuff in it, but if you're into weird stuff, watch Schramm. And thank you again for that one, because I did really enjoy it. It was wild. Yeah. It was like gross but artsy, and I love that about film, you know? It didn't feel trashy, put it that way. Yeah. Alright, on to the next. So the last one I'm going to be covering today. You ready for this? I watched a lot of things, eh? Yeah, a lot of things this week. Anyways, the last one I'm covering, Dave Houghton was like, Vicky, Reanimator. And I was like, okay, I'll give it another shot. So, the original Reanimator. I know, I know there's a lot of folk that are telling me to continue watching the next ones. I just didn't have time this week. I will have time coming up to watch Beyond and The Bride of. I have to now, right? I'm committed. I'm committed after watching the first Reanimator, like, oh, this is great. The blood's bananas. The effects are bananas. It's all practical. It's ridiculous. The main actor, oh, I'm the worst. I should have looked up his name. But, like, the dude with the glasses is on, like, I know how long it takes to conquer death after, or whatever. Anyways, brains. It's all about brains. It's all about how dead is the brain and how can you bring them back to life. And this dude is so creepy. And he comes in and, like, right away, everyone's, like, suspicious of him. And I'm like, are they too suspicious? I feel like this is the 80s and they're too suspicious. But at the same time, I'm like, this guy's a creep. He gives off a creepy vibe. Like, he plays it so good. So good. Man. And, like, it's just the tests, like, so he's just obsessed and keeps doing these tests on dead people, or, like, almost dead people. And he's just basically trying to put you, like, how long can I make them live after that? And, like, how much serum do I need? But it's always a bad idea. Always. And this movie, I think it said it was based on a Lovecraft thing, right? Yeah, it is. And it makes me laugh. It's always similar stuff, right? It's always like this, don't mess with science. And of course they do. And he's like, I'm just going to inject everything with it. You're like, oh my god. Anyways, fantastic film. The original is actually fantastic. I don't know why I didn't get into this franchise earlier. I'm trying to think. I think it just wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't shown it at all, I guess. But it's fantastic. It's like weird science meets all the gore. Okay, not at all, but yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me again for part 5 of Recommendation Week. And don't stop it from coming. I still have a whole list of stuff to watch, but more is always welcome. You guys know that. I'm always adding on tons of things to watch every week, so I'd appreciate it if you guys find anything cool that I haven't covered yet. That's always fun to discover new stuff. And yeah, you guys have a wicked rest of your week. Don't be shy to write it in the comments. If you're not subscribed yet, yo, get on that. And if you are, thank you so much for being a part of this spooky community. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.